Hey guys, welcome back to another tutorial by Rez. Today I kind of want to explain functions or method, whatever you use, to the average Joe. So we're going to try and explain it in a way that everyone could understand. So before we start out, why the hell is there two words for the same thing, right? We have the first one which says, hey, I'm a function, and the second one which says I'm a method. Okay, I just want to point out that these two things are almost the same. At least if you're in the same language, if you're in an object oriented language, these two are exactly the same. But let's go and get the exact definition because maybe one day you'll be professional and other people require it. But if they're stinging about it, they're kind of just being dicks about it. Anyway, so function basically says, hey, I'm not part of an object, or in this case, a class, whatever you want to use. While a method says, this method, it belongs into a class. Well, you're saying, well, I never even saw a function or a method that didn't belong to a class. Well, that's because you're kind of made into standardized version of your school, which says we're just gonna learn Java or C Sharp or a OOP language, object-oriented language. And in those cases, obviously everything's gonna be methods, so the word function and methods could be interchanged, and it's fully understandable and it's fine. Inside, let's say C++, where functions are literally functions that do not belong to an object, you kind of want to separate this meaning so your colleagues and you could have a better way of understanding each other. I don't know, explaining each other. Now, let's get to the gist of it, okay? I'm going to interchange these words because it doesn't matter, especially if you're a beginner. It really doesn't matter. So, we're going to try and figure out what the hell a function or a method is. And in my opinion, you should consider functions or methods as a action or a verb or anything that's kind of a task, right? So let's say if I was an elf, right? So my elf, what is he gonna do? Well, it's gonna gift wrap my stuff, right? So we have a function that's called gift wrapped. What is gift wrap gonna take? Well, it's gonna take, let's say it's a string for now. You guys should know types. If you don't know types, please go back in the other videos. Well, it should take the toy that it's gonna gift wrapped, and it should take the box. Okay. For now, we don't really care about what's the type of these two variables. So I go to it, I give it a toy, and I give it a box, and what happens is the elf is gonna give me back a gift wrap toy, right? So let's say gift wrap toy here as the return type. Obviously, I don't have that type of object defined, so it doesn't know what it is. So let's say currently it's gonna return a string, and that's gonna be my gift, my toy inside of a box, gift wrap, ready for the kid, right? So let me just see if there's an error. It just needs a return path. Okay. So forget about the error for now. So basically, just understand that the gift wrap is a place where I give my toy and I give a box and they wrap it together inside here. So let's say the code here is wrapping that toy inside box, and over here they're sending back box, sending back the box with the toy inside, right? All right. So kind of you shouldn't really care about how it does it. You should just know that it does it, right? So a better example, even a way better example, would be if I go to McDonald's. Okay? I really don't know how to McDonald's. I think that's how you spell it. Okay? I'm in my car. I go to McDonald's. What happens? I just want you guys to think about it. What do you do at McDonald's? Right? You're with your car, you're at that phone booth thing. Just think it for a second. What do? If you think correctly, you're gonna place an order, right? So let's say string is my order. So there I'm telling you, hey, I want some McRib sandwich plus some whatever else they have, the McFlurry and all the other things. And then I still need to give it something else. What else do we have to give it? Think about it for a second. And then you'll notice that well, if you need to, by the way, pause it so you could think. Maybe I'm gonna just keep on going, so the people that understand faster, we could go with it. So we give it an order. We also kind of need to give it a money, right? And in this case, money is gonna be not string. It's gonna be a sort of value. It could be an integer, but then we have change, so maybe a double would be better, or a float. Doesn't really matter. So this is my money. Okay. And when I give them my order and I give them my money, what are they going to give you back? Well, they're going to give you back your food, right? So let's say for now the food is a string. What happens in here doesn't really matter. Well, it matters to most of us because we eat junk food when we go to McDonald's and we want to know if there's like any bad shit in there, right? But in the case, how many of you guys actually went in the back and saw them make your sandwich? None of you guys, right? So we don't really care about how it does it in here. We just know that if I call this McDonald's function or method, I need to give it my order and my money, and it's going to give me back my sandwich, right? Or my order, basically, made into a sandwich, right? Obviously, the stuff in here, if you build those functions, you're going to be using them. But there's a lot of functionality that's already out there, and you're going to make these functions in a way that you shouldn't care about what's inside, right? What I mean by that is you should name it correctly. You should have appropriate parameters that it just makes sense. It's intuitive, right? That if I give these parameters to it, to my function, it's going to output this for me, right? Let's try a couple other ones. So we could go to McDonald's. That's pretty easy. Let's see. Okay, so if I want to ask this girl out, right? So I want to ask this girl out. Okay, what do I need to do for that girl? Again, pause it if you need some time to think. But I think if I want to ask that girl out, I need to have my pickup line, right? My pickup line could be as easy as, hi, my name is Rez. How you doing? I would like to take you out. I don't know, something, whatever works for you guys, right? And then what else? Well, you guys have anything else in there? Well, maybe I could also give her the location I want to take her out, right? So maybe I want to take her out to the movies. I want to take her out to dinner. So for so on. Maybe location matters too, right? Now, some other girls could be a bit shallow and say, well, if you have a car, that would make everything much better. So you could have a boolean saying, have car, right? And then you could keep on going. This parameter is as much as you want. You're creating it, right? And what's going to happen when you ask the girl out? What is she going to give you back as an answer? Well, she's going to say yes or no, right? So a yes or no in the coding would be a boolean. So boolean would be true for yes. She says, okay, let's go out. Or false for no. Hey, I don't like what you have. Right? And inside that code, you as a developer, you as the mastermind of everything, you could say, well, if he has a car, right? If have car equals true, I'm gonna put it the whole way so everyone could see. Well, this for sure says, hey, I need to go out with that guy, or the guy needs to go out with the girl, etc. Now the girl says, well, if he doesn't have a car, we could still work with that. If inside the string contains something, so if the let's say the pickup line contains, you see this is another function, and if you notice, contains kind of makes sense. It's intuitive by what we say. It says, hey, give it a value, and it says, because we know this is a string already, dot contains, give it a value, and if that string pickup line contains this value that we give it, then return true. Otherwise, return false. And we could even read that by the summary. However, look, we don't see how the body of the function or method is. We just know what the parameter is and what the return type is. Right? So we're going to say contains beautiful, right? Because every girl needs to know they're beautiful. Well, every guy needs to know that too. So girls, please let the guys know. And if that's true, well, yeah, again, I want to return true because the girl is pretty happy and, that's perfect. And if it doesn't contain that, I don't care about the rest. I just want to return false. Right? So this is basically a function is. In the end, you just give it some parameters, some stuff that it takes in, and it's going to output something for you. This is kind of a rule that it respects. So people that are using it could always expect something when they ask for something, right? And the case is sometimes you just don't expect anything back, right? So let's say it's Mother's Day, right? I can't put apostrophe, I forgot. So let's say Mother's Day. What are we gonna happen? Well, think for a second. What do you do on Mother's Day? Well, I'm gonna write something beautiful for my mom, right? So let's say a poem. I'm also gonna buy her a gift. Currently, I'm gonna just keep it as string. And I'm probably gonna like give her a few kisses, right? Maybe kisses could be into int, right? Because it's multiple of something. It's not weird kisses. It's just normal kisses on the cheek. So we could even say kisses on cheek for all those weird people out there. Now, when I give her the poem, when I give her the gift, when I give her the kisses on the cheek, what am I expecting back from that? Well, nothing. And in that case, we use this thing called void, right? The same way as the emptiness of space, there is nothing. Nothing to give back, nothing to retrieve. And you guys should understand that, right? So they could be in the sense, they could be in the functions that return something, right? McDonald's would return your order, your sandwich, your drinks, your McFlurry, whatever. When you ask a girl, she would say yes or no. She's still giving you something back. On your Mother's Day, you're not expecting anything back, and she shouldn't give you anything back. It's her day, right? So in this case, it's just void, and whatever's inside doesn't matter for now. And again, inside the body, the function is just a script of whatever you define, right? Some days, you could just wrap a one-liner actually to make it something better word as a function, right? So let's go to the next step of why we would do something, right? So we're currently in C#, and if you're in Java, it's kind of the same thing. You have this long thing where it says console, write line, and you write your text, writing to my console output. Okay? This is all beautiful and all, but you know that you're going to always be writing this or doing this all the time. And it might not, like in C#, it's pretty clean because it kind of says, hey, inside the console, write me this, right? But let's say it was kind of longer, especially in Java, which is like system.out.println. It's like way long for no reason. Well, we know we're going to rewrite everything in write line. Well, what we could do is say, create our own little function here. Say void write line, give it a string, my output, and it's just gonna do what you just did. And we're just gonna put the output here. So what's gonna happen is, rather than writing console.writeLine, we just need to write writeLine. Okay, and it's gonna do the same thing, writing to my console output. Okay. In the end, it comes down to the same thing. I just wanted to save a bit of lines, or make it more readable. Sometimes it's easier to me, right? I could even write it WL just to make it shorter, to make your life miserable. I really hate this because you're really taking the intuition out of it. But again, it's up to you. Functions doesn't just have to be actions or whatever. It could be just rewrapping something in abstraction to make it easier for you as the writer. Because in the end, when the compiler goes through all of this, it really doesn't give a shit about what the name is, about where it is, or how it is. Most of these cases, this, well, wherever you call a function, like let's say McDonald's, and I give it my order, McFlurry, and I give it my money, which is like $2.50, whatever. Did I not close something? Okay. This function is just going to get replaced by whatever code's in there. So that's how it does it for compiling. So it really doesn't care about this. Of course, for recursion, it's going to be a bit more difficult for the compiler, but that's something else. However, I really wish that you guys understood these functions and what they mean and how you could create your own and how easy it is. Right? Sometimes you just want to make your life easier, where I ask console, I'm going to just do a last one with you guys, and I want you guys to kind of make sure you understand this or be able to make sense of it. Okay, so I'm going to always ask the user a question. So let's say, what is your name? Right? And then the user gives me his name, and I will do console dot read read line, and that's it. Okay, well, afterwards I say, hey, console dot write line, what is your, I don't know, where are you from? How about that? Where are you from? And then again I do string location console dot read line, and then I do it again and again and again and again and again and again and again. Right? This repetition actually could be made cleaner. Why? Because, hey, look, I'm asking a question, and whenever you ask a question, what happens? Well, there is an answer that should be followed. Right? Intuitively, you should understand that. So what we could actually do is say, oops, I deleted a bit too much. Oh man, I'm still not used to the Mac, so sorry guys. So intuitively we could just say, well, we're asking a question, right? So make the method name ask question, right? Or just ask is even much better, because in the end you're passing the question. So this part we got to give it to it. So string question. Why am I giving the question? Because look, hey, that's a variable that changes. Where are you from? What is your name? What is your age? What is blah blah blah. So this is why we pass this. It's a variable. Variable changes. And then what are we expecting from that? Well, we're expecting an answer, and when we do read lines, it gives you back a string. So we also gonna give back the answer as string. Right? What's gonna be in the body? Well, look, we did it twice. It's just going to be the same thing. We're going to copy this and just put it here and replace this part with whatever the question is, right? And replace this part with just saying, hey, you could return it directly. Or before I return it directly, I'm just going to say string, this is my answer. And then I could return the answer if that makes it easier for you guys to understand. Right? But there's no point of creating a variable. It's right there. We could have just said return console.readline. So then what happens is this whole part here, rather than the two-liner, I could just make string location equal ask the user, right? What am I going to ask the user? Well, let's just copy this part. Doesn't copy really well. I'm just going to copy the question, and that's it. Right? So I don't need this part anymore. And we know, and it makes sense because we're asking something. And when we ask something, or we could have even wrote ask the user or ask user, which makes probably more sense to most of you guys. So if we ask the user, we get the user's input and we store it inside location. And then we could use that function that we created and skip these two lines and to make it in always one line, where we say, hey, ask user, and what's gonna be the answer in this case? Well, the question, sorry. Well, what is your name? Okay, and again we delete this part. Much cleaner, no? And again, if we do, well, lastly, if we do this, it would be, what is your name? My name is Rez. And we store it inside name, and you do whatever you need with it. What is your order? My order is McFlurry. Here's $2.50. What do you want to gift wrap? Well, the toy is a Lego Master box something, and the box is a ribbon-ish box, whatever. Right? Ask this girl out, the pickup line. What is it? Well, I think your eyes reflect the moon. What is the location you want to bring her? Well, I want to bring her on top of the mountain to make sure the moon reflects in her eyes. And do I have a car? No, I'm really cheap, so I need her to have a car. Right? And she's going to tell you yes or no. And the way I am, they usually say no. Cheap people like me. And Mother's Day, you give it a beautiful poem. Sing your lungs out. Give it a gift. Usually they don't care, but I would say give a gift. And a few kisses on the cheek wouldn't hurt, right? Anyway, I hope you guys understood what functions methods are. If you didn't, please leave a message. Make sure you understand. This is really crucial for a lot of people. And also, one last tip for you guys is make sure everything has a correct name. A lot of people avoid giving names and they just go WL or X. Do you guys even remember what WL meant? Right? If you come back to it 3 years later, or if someone else comes back to it, or if you have team members, you're making them suffer, right? And in that case, you're making yourself suffer, because if you do that to me, I'll do the same output to you for you to understand why you're not getting why we're doing this. That's really mean, I guess. But usually I wouldn't work at those companies, to tell you the truth. I hate having bad code. It makes you read code for 3 hours to write 5-minute code. It just doesn't make sense. So please write something that makes sense as the things. Usually you want your function names to be like some sort of verb type of thing. Go see what the standards are. And make sure it's intuitive. The better it is, the more intuitive it is, the more easy it is for you guys. The better code you have, the better support, the more money, and etc. Anyway, this is Rez. I talk too much. Please subscribe, like, and do whatever else you like. Cheers, guys.